Welcome to ROX the Vote, 10/4/2020.
The election destruction force is creating chaos and disinformation, attacking the integrity of our election. It has the potential to destroy our democracy. But a wave of committed individual voters should be able to penetrate the outer defense.
Pardon me, General, but what good are a bunch of individual voters going to be against that, ma'am?
Well, the corrupt in power don't consider an individual voter any threat. Or they show some respect for elections. An analysis of their plans demonstrate that they believe voters won't show up and protect their democracy.
What's our strategy then?
It will not be easy. Voters will have to make sure they are registered and that their registration is up to date. Then they will have to fill out their ballots, carefully voting all the way through from bottom up. And then they'll have to get their ballots into the mail early, or even better, drop them off directly into the nearest ballot box.
But General, those targets are less than a meter wide. There's small openings in mail and ballot boxes.
Yes, but a precise delivery of ballots to them will start a chain reaction, which should destroy the election destruction force and save our democracy.
Only careful voting by a large majority of eligible voters will help set up a powerful victory for our democracy.
It's going to take all of us.
All forces, ready your ballots, and may the force be with you.
Live from Rebel Base Roxborough, it's ROX the Vote, 10/4/2020. Brought to you by Indivisible ROX Resistance, honoring the Colorado way of life. Freedom, accountability, democracy, equality, environmental responsibility. Featuring Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold, Colorado Attorney General Bill Weiser, our candidate for U.S. Senate Governor John Hickenlooper, Congressman Jason Crow, and musical guests Sarah Slayton, Retrofat, and Carrie Pastine and the Crime Machine, with Sandy Alt, Tracy Kearns, Jan Berger, Deb Shukar, Ron Shukar, Gazala Hayes, John Miller, Claudia James, Debbie McGinnis, Steve Berger, and Mike Dorsky. Plus, Ike McCorkle, Ilana Spiegel, Amy Patton, Lisa Neal Graves, Darian Wilson, Alyssa Flomenhoff, Jennifer Mitkowski, Ian Chapman, Kira Storajev, Katie Barrett, and David Ortiz. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Colorado Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold.
Thank you for attending this wonderful event. Gosh, the Indivisible Rock Creek Resistance, or the Rock Resistance, excuse me, does such a fantastic job. I love the video right at the beginning. But gosh, maybe instead of referring to the woman as general, they should have referred to the woman as secretary, because that is exactly right. A lot of voters are the key to making sure that all the noise around this election is ignored and people have their voices heard. So I'm just so honored to be Colorado Secretary of State, especially for this big election before us. And this is a pretty important week because ballots start going out, believe it or not, on Friday. It will start this Friday and then go for a full week through the 16th, Friday to Friday. And I just think this election is just so different than every election before. We are in a pandemic, and we do have a lot of noise and misinformation around the election, which just makes it even more important to focus. And that focuses that every eligible elector should register to vote and have their voices heard this election. Now, the Colorado election model is the talk of the nation. It's the gold standard of the nation. It withstands pandemics and is just a great election system we have here. And we're so lucky because in some states you have to brave the elements and go stand in a long line. But here in Colorado, you all know it's so easy. So step one, and you have to tell all your neighbors, all your friends. I know everybody on this video call is in tune to our election model, but we all have people around us who did not vote in 2016 or in prior elections. So this is just a little reminder that you have to pass on. So number one, register to vote. GoVoteColorado.gov. It can't get more easy than that. You can do it right online. Number two, receive your mail ballot in the mail. So you actually don't have to do anything. You just have to wait for the mail ballot to come to you. And then number three is actually voting. So you all know you can vote and then return your ballot to a drop box, an in-person voting center, or even by the mail. And of course, all of our in-person early voting and election day voting centers will be open. But as you talk to your friends, to your neighbors, to your colleagues, it's really important to message three things this election. So this is actually the top three list. One, register to vote. Two, make a plan to vote. So when you receive that ballot, when are you going to vote it? How are you going to return it? And number three, vote early. All your county clerks will be so happy if you just return your ballots as early as possible. So every drop box and voter center is mandated under law to be open by the 19th at the latest. You should have your ballot here soon. So ballots go out the 9th through the 16th. All drop boxes and VSPCs, which are voter centers, open on the 19th. October 26th is the last day to register and be mailed a ballot. After that date, you can go vote in person, go pick up a ballot. And then October 26th is also the last day recommended to mail your mail ballot back. And after the 26th, we recommend that you go drop it at a drop box or at a voting center. And of course, you can always go register and vote right up until 7 p.m. on election day. And I know you all are paying attention to everything happening across the nation, but this is a year to really make sure that all elected leaders know how much we value our democracy. And I expect we're going to have great elections in Colorado. But when we're done with this election, I don't want you to lose interest in elections because we need to expand our election model nationwide so that every eligible American has the same access that we have. So with that, I hope you all are getting excited to vote. This is going to be a great event. And I just really want to thank the Indivisible Rock Resistance, Sandy, Tracy, the whole crew. They're really shaking it up and doing really good work. So thank you so much and hope you all are well.
2018 was a year of firsts for Colorado. We elected our first Democratic Secretary of State in over 60 years, and the first Democratic woman Secretary of State in our history. Jenna Griswold, a working-class Colorado native, got her first job the summer after 7th grade to help out and saw a lot of families struggle. That inspired Jenna to be the first in her family to attend a 4-year college and then law school. After serving as a voter protection attorney for President Obama, the time came to return home to Colorado. Now, as the youngest statewide elected official, Jenna is a rising star in Colorado politics. In 2019, she worked to help pass a number of significant pieces of legislation. In 2020, our Secretary of State's office is the leading advocate in expanding mail ballots nationwide and has engaged with nearly all 50 states to help ensure election officials run safe and accessible elections. Advocate, mentor, leader. Jenna Griswold, Colorado's Secretary of State.
Hi everyone, this is Kevin, and I'm inviting you to join me for a very special after party. Tonight at 7 p.m., we're going to celebrate our Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold's birthday with her at a private after party. We would love for you to join us and be a part of the fun. Just point your smartphone camera at either of the QR codes on this slide, and when a link pops up, tap it, and RSVP for the event. We'll send you a link to join about a half hour before it starts. Jenna has served Coloradans so well since we elected her. This is your chance to tell her thank you in person, to ask her any questions you might have about the election, and to visit with her about her office's role in protecting the safety and security of your vote. So won't you RSVP now to join me?
Buddy, I'm Sarah Slayton here with Miss Sarah Joelle coming at you from Fort Collins, Colorado. Thank you so much to ROX Vote for having us. We're honored to be here this evening. We're here honestly because our future is on the ballot next month, and our voice and our vote counts now, I think, more than ever. And so we want to make sure that your voice is heard on November 3rd. So make sure you get those mail-in ballots in or turn up to the polls on November 3rd. So yeah, it's an honor, guys. Thanks so much. Let's talk more folk rock. The song's called Open Road, and it's about our days touring. Let's buy a van. We'll pack our clothes, oh, and hit the open road. And let's trade our maps. We know that home, it's wherever our feet go. 'Cause you are mine. Let's buy a van. We'll pack our clothes, oh, and hit the open road. And let's trade our maps. We know that home, it's wherever our feet go. From Phoenix to Tennessee. And I'm not lost if I'm in your company. 'Cause we're not waiting for old and gray. Oh, and wanting back these days. Wanting back these days. Wanting back these days. Let's buy a van. We'll pack our clothes, oh, and hit the open road.
This is Jabron. This is a slide where you can register to vote right now. Or check your voter registration to make sure that your information is current and up to date. You can even sign up for tracking and tracing of your ballot if you haven't done so already. Just point your smartphone at the QR code in the center of the O and vote, and the link will pop up. Tap it, and it'll take you to the site where you can register or check your registration. Or just open the web browser and go to vote.org. Snap a photo of this slide and text it to your friends to remind them to register to vote too. Come on, everybody. Use your paper voice. Vote.
I ask no favor for my sex. All I ask of our brethren is that they take their feet off our necks. When we were in law school, there were no women judges, so the bench was not something to which women aspired unless you were a dreamer. People ask me, when would you be satisfied with the number of women on the court? When there were 9. For most of the country's history, they were all white men.
60 years ago, Ruth Bader Ginsburg applied to be a Supreme Court clerk. She'd studied at 2 of our finest law schools and had ringing recommendations. But because she was a woman, she was rejected. 10 years later, she sent her first brief to the Supreme Court, which led it to strike down a state law based on gender discrimination for the first time. And then for nearly 3 decades, as the second woman ever to sit on the highest court in the land, she was a warrior for gender equality. Someone who believed that equal justice under law only had meaning if it applied to every single American. Over a long career on both sides of the bench, as a relentless litigator and an incisive jurist, Justice Ginsburg helped us see that discrimination on the basis of sex isn't about an abstract ideal of equality, that it doesn't only harm women, that it has real consequences for all of us. It's about who we are and who we can be. Justice Ginsburg inspired the generations who followed her, from the tiniest trick-or-treaters to law students burning the midnight oil to the most powerful leaders in the land. Michelle and I admired her greatly. We're profoundly thankful for the legacy she left this country, and we offer our gratitude and our condolences to her children and grandchildren tonight. Ruth Bader Ginsburg fought to the end, through her cancer, with unwavering faith in our democracy and its ideals. That's how we remember her.
Our fundraising events for Democratic candidates the past few months have also included efforts to raise money for local charities. For this event, however, we feel compelled to honor the memory of Justice Ginsburg by encouraging you to donate to any one of the charities she championed. She supported efforts for girls' education around the world, as well as integrated schools where Jewish and Arab children in Israel learn together and from each other with the hopes of fostering peace, respect, and understanding. It is no surprise then that 2 of her favorite charities are the Malala Fund and American Friends of Hand in Hand. The Justice was a lifelong scholar of the law. She supported the American Bar Foundation, a preeminent legal research institute where she served as secretary for a time, as well as a member of the executive committee. 2 of Ruth's closest companions, her mother and husband, died of cancer. She too battled with this formidable disease and was treated at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, one of the top cancer care hospitals in the nation. Any one of these fine organizations is worthy of your consideration and a wonderful way to commemorate the life and times of the amazing Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Snap a picture of this slide containing the links to 4 of RBG's favorite charities and consider donating in her honor. We want to make it clear that none of these organizations endorse or support a particular political party or candidate. Thank you.
What an amazing tribute to Justice Ginsburg. Thank you to all the organizers of the event today and for everything that you've done over the last few years. I think we all know that the next 3 weeks are the 3 weeks we have been waiting for the last 4 years. And the blood, the sweat, the tears, the anguish, the pain, the suffering that so many of our fellow Americans and people in our community have gone through rely on what's going to happen in the next really 3 weeks, when the majority of the votes will be cast, certainly in Colorado, and under 4 weeks throughout the United States. I have had the opportunity, sadly, to visit with two of our nation's greatest heroes as they lied in state this year in the Capitol. A couple of weeks ago, the visit with Justice Ginsburg, the first woman to lie in state in the Capitol. And then earlier this year, the great John Lewis. And I want to tell you about John Lewis for a moment, since we just had an opportunity to honor and to think about Justice Ginsburg. John Lewis was, I don't think I need to tell this group what an amazing man he was. But I was asked a few weeks ago by some of my fellows in my office, what was one of the greatest honors that I've had in the last 2 years, and certainly serving along John Lewis was at the top. And I'm going to tell you a very brief story about the last time I was with John Lewis. So he was already very sick this year. It was the last time that I saw him in the Capitol building, and it was for his birthday. We were holding a surprise birthday party for him. And then, by the way, everybody called him Mr. Lewis. Nobody called him John, despite the fact that he repeatedly said, "Call me John." It just didn't seem right. So a whole group of us gathered in a basement room of the Capitol, Republicans and Democrats, because he was loved by many on both sides of the aisle. And it was a surprise birthday party. So he walked in and we yelled surprise and we sang happy birthday to him. And he was, as usual, very humble. And the interesting thing about Mr. Lewis is he was often a man of few words. He was one of those people who didn't like to speak a lot, but when he spoke, it had incredible impact. He believed that you should reserve speaking for when it's really necessary and to choose your words very wisely. So he said just a few things, but the most impactful thing he said was, he looked at all of us gathered there and he said, "You are all my brothers and sisters, and I love you all very much." And what was amazing is he meant it, because I think we all can tell when people are checking a box, when they just are saying something because they feel compelled to say it. But it was so evident to me and to the others there that he meant it. It came from a place of deep love and admiration, and he believed us all as his brothers and sisters. So here you have a man who had every reason to choose a very different path, to choose a path of anger and despair, of disenchantment, of thinking that the country and his community and society had left him behind, a man who had been beaten to within an inch of his life and had to fight for just a fundamental right to vote. And yet he chose a different path. He chose a path of love and brotherhood and sisterhood, believing in our better angels. And it rubbed off on everybody around him. So when I say that this election is about the soul of America, that's what I'm talking about, is what path we're going to choose. Whether it will be one of division, of us being divided against ourselves, one of hatred towards one another. Many of our families are divided and broken. Our coworkers, our neighbors, my own family is divided. And a country and a democracy such as ours cannot survive the toxicity and the poison that Donald Trump and his enablers have injected into our system. We cannot survive it. So that's why we have to stop it. And we have to inject a new source of optimism and love and compassion and empathy back into our system. That's what this election is about. That's what the next 4 weeks is about. And that's why I'm so honored to be working alongside all of you, fighting alongside of all of you to save our democracy, to save our planet, and to work towards that better, more perfect union. So thank you for having me, and let's get it done, folks.
Hi, I'm Taylor, and I'm a member of the Douglas County Youth Alliance. I'm asking you to please support Jason Crow and his campaign for re-election to the U.S. House. Indivisible ROX Resistance has created a challenge match to match your total donations up to the amount shown on this slide, so you can double your money if you give now. I don't have to tell you how to use your phone to do this. I know you've got this. Jason Crow needs your support and your vote so he can strengthen democracy and keep the influence of money out of politics. So won't you please chip in a few dollars if you can and help him win? I'm doing all I can to support Jason Crow because my generation depends on people like you electing good leaders. Join me, and let's ROX the vote!
Hello everyone, my name is Kevin R. James. I'm an actor, originally from Colorado, and I'm here to give you a youth's perspective on voting and why it's important. Because now more than ever, your vote matters. And because only with a unified country can the dreams of future generations be realized. This isn't one of those elections where you can sit back and believe, oh, I'm not voting because I don't like any of the candidates, or I don't want to vote because it doesn't even matter. These next 4 years, the decisions that we make are crucial for the younger generation, especially since we are going through a big stage at this time in our lives. Getting your career together, moving out, exploring the world, whatever it may be. When we have good leadership in office, it will help you focus on you. Because then you can just relax going into the future knowing the country's in good hands. So then you can just pursue your life. Our vote means that our environment is protected. We have an income that we can survive on. Teachers and students can feel safe in their schools, and all youth have equal opportunities to follow their dreams. These are all immensely important, and who we elect at all levels of leadership. So let your voice be heard and vote.
Can a single vote make a difference? Or is it just a drop in the ocean? Well, Thomas Jefferson won the presidency by one vote after a tie in the Electoral College. And conversely, in 1876, Samuel Tilden won the popular vote, but lost to President Rutherford B. Hayes by one electoral vote. And Andrew Jackson won the popular vote in 1824, but lost by one vote in the House to John Quincy Adams. In 1962, governors of Maine, Rhode Island, and North Dakota all won by an average of one vote per precinct. And the Vermont State House race of 1977, won by Robert Emmond, had a final vote count of 572 to 571. We saw Senator John McCain on July 27, 2017, heroically save the Affordable Care Act by using his one vote to break a tie that would have repealed Obamacare. But my favorite one vote wonder was in the Tennessee House of Representatives 100 years ago, when, at the urging of his mother, Harry T. Byrne broke the tie by voting in favor of the 19th Amendment, successfully ending a 70-year struggle to allow women the right to vote in our country. So never wonder if your vote makes a difference. It certainly does. Scores of stories like these answer that question with a loud and clear, yes, it does. Now, make sure that you and your friends are registered, and when you get your mail-in ballots, use your paper voice.
Hi, I'm Ike McCorkle, retired Marine, Purple Heart recipient, and proud father, and I'm running to represent you in the United States Congress. First, I want to say thank you to ROX Resistance and to all of you on this program for supporting our democracy. We can and we must do a better job for our children. I fought for my kids' future, to support and defend the Constitution and the ideals of freedom and liberty and democracy our nation has stood for since its founding. I was raised by a tough single mom in rural Washington Texas, and Alabama. And I'm ready to listen to rural Coloradans in order to find common sense solutions and compromises that work to benefit everyone. Party politics have permeated our culture and divided our people, and we need strength of character and moral leadership in Washington to bring Americans together around our shared values again. My opponent, Ken Buck, supports drilling adjacent to parks, schools, and neighborhoods. And rural communities in Colorado have been abandoned with no access to health care, water, infrastructure, or support. Right here in Colorado, we've had wildfires, droughts, and beetle infestations due to climate change that my opponent denies. We need bold leadership and comprehensive solution sets that directly task DoD, rapidly transition our energy production, and get Americans back to work. Our planet can no longer afford inaction and incrementalism. Sustainable energy and water production can and will bring jobs, prosperity, and opportunity back to rural Colorado and working class communities. Ken Buck is 73% funded by corporate PACs, has supported disastrous trade deals, and voted against all COVID relief, while incomes have dropped across rural Colorado. Farmers and ranchers have lost their livelihood and their way of life. Together, we can remove corrupt Ken from office and profiteering from our government and reinvest in rural Colorado communities. Your contribution tonight will help lead to that victory. Americans' trust in their government has been eroded by corrupt politicians. To rebuild that trust, we need strength of character and moral leadership in Congress. I'm Ike McCorkle, retired Marine, Purple Heart recipient, and proud father. And together, we will bring honor and integrity to our nation's capital. Come on, y'all. Let's ROX the vote.
Hi, my name's Alan McCorkle, and we're Mike's sons.
Hi, I'm Danica McCorkle. We're both asking you to please support my dad Ike in his campaign to unseat Congressman Ken Buck in Colorado's 4th Congressional District. Indivisible ROX Resistance has created a challenge for my dad. So give now. My dad needs your support and your vote because he will restore integrity to Colorado's 4th. Can you chip in a few bucks to help my dad win? I'm doing all I can to support him and his campaign. Join me. Come on, everyone. Let's ROX the vote.
Hey, Elliot, what are you doing?
I'm just researching how Trump has affected the LGBTQ plus community.
Oh, really? What have you found so far?
It's a lot. He's done so many things like ban transgender people from openly serving their country, denying LGBTQ plus people from accessing critical health care, and funding adoption agencies to reject same-sex couples, and the list goes on.
Wow, that's crazy, and honestly really scary.
I know. How am I supposed to feel growing up gay when I'm discriminated against by my own president?
You're right, you must feel very singled out.
I just wish I could vote so our voices could be heard.
Me too. The actions Trump is taking and many other Republican leaders affect us too, not only the people that can vote. Anyways, let's talk about something else. How are you guys feeling about online school?
I'm actually loving it. I feel so much safer at home than I do at school.
What do you mean?
Well, between 2009 and 2018, there were 180 school shootings, and we could totally be next.
You're so right. I honestly feel a lot safer too.
Well, what has our current president done to fix this?
Actually, he has done very little to ensure the safety of kids at our schools and as well as the general public. Here, let me look. At one point, he vetoed the bill addressing extensive background checks for people buying guns, as well as expressing concern that creating any new laws towards gun control would lead to not having any guns at all.
Guns being banned altogether, or at least more control, doesn't sound bad to me.
I agree. Luckily, if Biden becomes president, he will take more action on making sure that kids feel safe inside their schools as well as their everyday lives.
There seems to be a lot wrong with our current president. Not only do we not feel safe in our own schools, but Trump's decisions on climate change are directly affecting us, and we don't even have a say.
It seems to me like he's making all of his decisions based off his own opinion rather than thinking about the future of our world.
Doesn't he not even believe in climate change? Something about it being a hoax?
Yep, he seems to be ignoring the facts about how our Earth is literally melting. How is someone who is 60 years older than us making decisions about our future?
That's so true. I wish we could vote considering how much this is affecting us.
Same.
These are some of the reasons why it's so incredibly important to vote this fall.
Not only for the betterment of our country, but for young kids like us who will be leading one day.
Please use your paper voice this fall.
Vote Biden-Harris 2020.
Ready for takeoff. All voters, ready for takeoff.
These are the last of the munitions. You and that Wookiee look like you're getting ready to fly. Did you change your mind and decide to join the fight with us?
We were gonna sit this one out, but it's too important. Right, Roxy?
10-4. We're going to ROX the vote.
That D2 unit of yours might not be able to handle the smaller nav. Do you want another droid?
Not on your life. This little guy and I have been through a lot together. Haven't we, Denver?
Denver.
Blue leader, the Force will be with you.
Welcome, Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser. Hey, Phil.
Great to be with you.
It's good to be with you, too. You've been
Thank
really
you for
busy, I know.
Well, this is important. This is really important because Douglas County has the key to the force. We have to tap into the Douglas County energy as a critical part of our state and the ROX resistance efforts, what you guys are doing to ROX the vote. This is foundational because when we get Douglas County turning blue, electing candidates like Lisa Neal Graves, like Darren Wilson, like Amy Padden, like Jason Crow, like Ike McCorkle, we could go down the whole list. That is the key to unlocking the force. And if you want to tap into the force of justice for all Coloradans, if you want to address equality and the foundations of our democracy, this is a year to get on the field. And I often say, and I've got a mask that says this, democracy is not a spectator sport. It's a team sport. And Sandy, what you're playing here, bringing people onto the field, young people, people who've been around the block, people who are first-time candidates, everyone together is building energy. It's energy that we can draw from. What I also have to underscore is if we think about the force as we're looking at it, there's only one force that we can analogize to Yoda. And yes, I'm talking about Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Because even though she has left us like Yoda, she remains a source of inspiration for all of us to do the work that we have to do. Because when she started fighting for justice and equality and for our democracy, it wasn't easy. People said to her, what are you trying to do? Women don't have equal rights under the law. The 14th Amendment doesn't protect women. And she saw something with imagination, with a devout commitment to fighting for justice. She persisted. And now we look back and we see the arc of our moral universe bending towards justice, bending towards protecting people, bending towards a more inclusive we the people. And yes, sometimes we live in darker days, but the force doesn't give up. The force remains there for all of us to tap into. And in the most unlikely places, we can find great things to happen. And in Douglas County, you're seeing at your county commission level a rejection of science. You are seeing a rejection of public safety. You are seeing a rejection of common sense. And you have two candidates running for county commission that stand for all that is right and just in the world. Civility, kindness, respect, innovation, collaboration. We can win these races. As people know, we have a chance to get a new district attorney, ending George Brockler's time when, unfortunately, political games were often center stage and law enforcement was, unfortunately, compromised. We can elevate the quality of law enforcement by bringing together people to win elections. We can bring together people into our state house, people like David Ortiz, who is a team player who fights with all of us for justice. So as we all work to do our work, let's ask, what is our role? And it tells us this point in Scripture. It says, you're not required to finish the work of repairing our world, but you're not free to desist from doing your part. And Sandy, you always do your part, asking, how can we get people engaged in fun, in meaningful, big and small ways, whether it's phone calls or postcards or donating, all of us can work together to make a difference. And so thank you for your leadership in making that difference. Thank you, all of you here. We've got work to do, and I'm excited to join you.
Hey, Phil, before you leave us, could I ask you a couple questions?
I love that. Yeah, go on away.
And before I do, I don't know if everyone knows this, but you were the last person to argue in the Supreme Court before RGB, right?
That's correct.
And you clerked for her. She was a personal friend of you and your family,
yes,
and a mentor. So I'm so sorry for your loss. May her memory be a blessing to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it is going to be a meaningful memory that I was arguing remotely during the pandemic. And when I closed my argument, that ended the Supreme Court session, the last session she participated in. And I am saddened that I won't have the chance to talk really to her about that argument and to get any of her impact. She is someone who I will always treasure. She will stay with me. And I am grateful to have really been blessed with an extraordinary opportunity.
Well, what an honor that you get to be one of the bookends on her life, and that she's one of the books in your bookshelf that you bookend. You have a lot of other books in your shelf. You were Deputy AG in the Department of Justice under two presidents, right? Bill Clinton and Barack Obama?
Yeah, Deputy Assistant Attorney General. You promoted me a little bit there, Sandy.
Oh, well, you deserved it. And take a pay raise, too. You were the Dean of the School of Law at CU, weren't you?
I was the Dean of the Law School.
And also you clerked under another Supreme Court justice from Fort Collins, right? Byron White?
Byron White from, I believe, Wellington, Colorado, really near Fort Collins.
Yeah.
And for those
Did he teach you how to throw a football?
No, but he told me that if he were 10 years younger, he would have taken me on the basketball court, and I'm sure that's right. His clerks notoriously, he would break glasses and bones and other assorted things because he was a very physical player. But he was at the end of his run when I clerked with him. He'd actually been a retired justice, and it was a special time because he had more time to visit with me. And for those who don't know, Byron White was Bobby Kennedy's deputy at the Justice Department, and so he really had a great memory of that Kennedy Justice Department. And he also is the only justice who ruled with Ruth Bader Ginsburg all 6 times in her equality cases that she argued before the court in the 1970s.
I did not know that, but he, he was known for being a pragmatist.
He was a pragmatic guy, and he was always encouraging his clerks to pursue public service and even elected office. And I think Justice Ginsburg now was happy that I pursued this position. I was her only clerk that, while she was living anyway, to become an attorney general. So she could say to me, how's my favorite general doing? Kind of like I say to my daughter, how's my favorite daughter doing?
That's wonderful. Now, while I have you captive, I want to ask you a couple things that I know everyone is interested in. And I'm going to toss out a phrase that's being quoted a lot. Benjamin Franklin said, "You have a republic as long as you can keep it." And today our democracy is under threat. Even the election we're in the midst of. You know, I mean, what can you tell us about your role as Colorado AG in combating all of the attempts to delegitimize the election?
This is an important point, and I know you'll be hearing with Jenna Griswold as well, who's been a partner in helping protect our elections. I've had to sue the Postal Service twice, once for slowing down the mail, and we won that, part of a multi-state effort. Here in Colorado for sending out misleading information that we won as well. We also have heard threats or concerns about voter intimidation, and I will work with local DA's offices to address any threats we see. If people hear about it, please let us know. It'll work to address those. Democracy is a team sport, and part of what we have to protect as a team is our franchise, is our right to vote. Colorado has a system that's been architected to maximally protect the right to vote. That is a model for our nation. We need other states to follow this model, and I continue to work with other states as they learn to do so. We have to vote for the candidate who's committed to protecting democracy, not the candidate who has said quite plainly a willingness to undermine democracy and indeed our basic norms, the peaceful transition of power, which we've never seen anything remotely like what we're hearing about now. It's on all of us who care about the rule of law, who care about our Constitution, our republic, to condemn any such behavior that undermines the cherished foundation of our republic. And that's what we're up against. And the way we preserve our republic is through engagement. It's through voting. It's through our voice. It's all on the line this year.
But regarding your role, I mean, your counterpart in Michigan recently filed criminal charges against a pair of men who were using targeted robocalling to suppress voters in Black and Latino communities in 6 states. And I know that you often work with your fellow AGs, you know, as in the last case you argued before the Supreme Court. Are you teaming up now to protect this election?
Yes. Yeah, we've got a network working together so we can identify and address any threats as they arrive. And we need all of you, your voices, your engagement. If you hear of any such concerns, we need to know about it in our office so we can best address it.
Well, I know we don't have time to go fully in depth on this issue, but I just can't let you go until I hear you say something about this. I read your commentary on the rule of law and impeachment, and it seems like forever ago, but I looked and it was just over a year by a few days ago. But the person who now occupies the presidency and his party and his big donors and conservative organizations have literally threatened and eroded our institutions and our constitutional freedoms. And, you know, now the most powerful person in the world is hospitalized, and we have no reason to trust the information we're receiving. Our group believes we can best defend our democracy by helping to elect great candidates. What more can we do? And what can you do as our Attorney General to help defend our democracy?
Let me start first what we're doing. It's super important, and this is the foundation of all we do in the Attorney General's office. Whatever work we're doing to defend laws, to enforce laws, we have to do it faithfully with the rule of law in mind, not playing games. So example of playing games is the Department of Justice is suing to invalidate the Affordable Care Act on this wackadoodle legal theory. It undermines confidence in the rule of law. It threatens people's lives. It's wrong. Even laws that I might not agree with in terms of how they operate, Tabor is an example, I'm going to be faithful to defend the rule of law. It's a foundation of our republic. We've got to play this straight. That's how we defend the rule of law. We build trust in Colorado. We need people like on the Douglas County Commission, Lisa and Darian, who are true, authentic public servants who care, not who play political games. We got to stop this political games playing, as you said, Sandy. It's the antithesis of the rule of law. It undermines confidence that people can look to their government and see integrity and decisions being made on their merits, based on science, based on public safety, what have you. The other point, back to what you can do, vote for those candidates. Tell people that you know There's a lot on the line, and there's a cost to compromising on integrity in government. And there are a lot of independents right now who are sickened by what they see in terms of a lack of responsible governance. And I think the debate last week was a turning point. The polls are starting to come out. People watch the debate, and the question is that responsible governance? Is that integrity? Is that leadership we can trust? And if the answer is no, don't be cynical. Don't be disengaged. Vote. Tell people to vote. Write postcards to people to vote. If you build that grassroots energy up and get the word out, you can make a difference. I loved your one vote wonders. That's right. Get the word out. Every vote matters. Douglas County is poised to be a special part of the force.
Well, I'm just going to warn you, speaking of integrity and having public servants we can trust, that we're not going to let you get out of office anytime soon. As soon as this election's over, we're going to start re-electing you and Jenna.
Well, I appreciate this because the point that we have to remember, full engagement, full vigilance, 2020 is super important. The risk in 2022 is complacency. This project of fighting for our democracy, it's not a short-term project, it's a long-term project. We need our work in this for the long term.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you guys, take care.
I know you got a busy schedule. Thanks for taking time out for us.
Such a pleasure to be with you all. Take care now.
Coming tonight. In normal times, we could all be together for events like this, and I could thank each of you personally for donating your time and your energy to the cause. But for now, unfortunately, this is going to have to do. You're all here because you believe, as I do, that our country's in crisis. This pandemic and the ensuing economic collapse have cost too many Coloradans their lives and livelihoods. And from the wildfires we've seen in our state this summer, a climate catastrophe is right at our doorstep as well. And that's precisely why this election is so important. Digging out of this mess is going to be a tall order. Right now, it doesn't look like President Trump and his rubber stamp Republicans in the Senate are up to the challenge. They were fully aware of how serious and how deadly this virus was, yet they played it down for months. President Trump has utterly failed, and Republicans in the Senate, like Cory Gardner, have just kept quiet and gone along with him. For 4 years, we've waited for Senator Gardner to stand up and speak out, but there's been nothing but his cowardly silence. Nothing when Trump admitted he intentionally lied about the seriousness of COVID. Nothing on Trump raiding Social Security. Nothing on Trump calling our fallen soldiers suckers and losers. And time and again, Senator Gardner has been on the wrong side of issues that affect Coloradans. It's clear he prefers to play politics rather than solve problems. Unlike Cory Gardner, you can count on me to be with Colorado 100% of the time. And you can count on me to focus on solutions and get results for our state, because that's what Coloradans deserve from their senator. And with your help, I know we can win. So let's be clear. The path toward a Democratic Senate majority starts right here in Colorado. Control of the Senate will determine whether or not we weather this recession, whether or not we stop the spread of the virus, whether or not we take action on climate change, whether or not we expand the Affordable Care Act. All of this is on the ballot this November, and it's our job to make sure voters turn out. Because in tight races up and down the ballot, every vote's going to matter. Cory Gardner's failed to do his job. If we do ours tonight and every day for the next 5 weeks, we can show him the door on November 3rd, and we can take back the Senate from Mitch McConnell as well. So thanks for being here tonight and doing all the hard work that it takes to win. Thank you so much, and let's go get them.
Hi, I'm Reese Verbsky, and I'm a member of the Douglas County Youth Alliance. I'm asking you to please support John Hickenlooper in his campaign for election to the U.S. Senate. Indivisible ROX Resistance has created a challenge match to match your total donations up to the amount shown on this slide, so you can double your money if you give now. I don't have to tell you how to use your phone to do this, right? I know you've got this. John Hickenlooper needs your support and your vote because he will work to reverse climate change and transition to a 100% renewable energy economy by 2050. So won't you chip in a few bucks if you can help him win? I'm doing all I can to support him because my generation depends on you electing good leaders. Won't you join me? Come on, everyone. Let's ROX the vote.
Hi, everyone. This is Dana Torpy Newman, the chair of the Douglas County Democratic Party, and welcome to ROX the Vote. I am so excited that all of you are here. There is nothing more important than our elections, which are coming up in literally just a few days. Here are some things that I want you to remember as you listen to our amazing candidates and elected officials. 1, make sure that you vote early. We know that the U.S. Postal Service is having some problems. Also, you don't have to pay for postage if you drop your ballot in one of the ballot boxes around Douglas County. 2, talk to everyone you know about the importance of voting, registering to vote if they haven't registered yet, and really educating themselves on who our candidates are. It is all of our personal responsibilities, our individual responsibilities to our country, to our society, to be educated voters. This is the most important responsibility we have as citizens of this county and of this country. And so I really want to encourage you to get to know the candidates and feel good about the candidates that you are voting for. I also would love to meet some of you because you volunteer your time or donate to our candidates. Volunteering your time in a pandemic is kind of interesting. It looks different than it usually does. That includes things like contact-free lit drops for our candidates and phone banking and maybe some text banking. Please participate in the democratic process. We need young people to come out in droves to reject what is going on in our county and in our country right now. We need your voice. Please make it known. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you all really enjoy the program, and hopefully I'll meet some of you soon.
Hey everyone, my name's Alana Spiegel and I'm running for the University of Colorado Board of Regents here in the 6th Congressional District. I'm a mom and an educator, and I'm running to make CU a flagship for our nation and a place where young people, like the ones we've heard from today, from all different backgrounds, can obtain a world-class education. And I really want to thank everyone here today for amplifying the voice of our youth, because today's students are in a pinch. More jobs than ever require a post-secondary degree or credential, and the cost of obtaining a degree has absolutely skyrocketed. That's why I'm prioritizing things like affordability. We must control the cost of higher education. And accessibility. The doors of higher education must be open to all Coloradans, regardless of their background or wealth. Inclusivity. Empowering this next generation starts by ensuring everyone is involved. And opportunity. Public education should be applicable, cutting edge, and relevant to students and the next generation of jobs. Now, you may still be wondering what a regent does, and I hope you know that the truth is the regents impact all of us, and they play such a critical role in the growth and future of our state by setting budget priorities, hiring the University of Colorado president, and guiding tuition prices. The University of Colorado is the 3rd largest employer in the state, the single largest employer in the 6th Congressional District, provides over $14 billion of economic impact, and over $8 billion of that comes just from the Anschutz Medical Campus right here in the 6th Congressional District. So our university system says so much about who we are and what we value as Coloradans. But it's time for change. I'm asking you not to be ruthless, but to be full of Ruth, to be full of strength and compassion and courage. I'm asking you to vote so we can have representation on the Board of Regents that reflects our values, our state, our students, and the community the University of Colorado serves. And I'm asking you to do it for all the Ruthies out there. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Ruthie, the youngest of Alana Spiegel's 4 kids. I'm asking you to please support my mom in her campaign for CU Regent. Individual ROX Resistance has created a challenge match to match your total donations up to the amount shown on this slide. So you can double your money if you give now. You know how to use your phone to do this, right? You got this. My mom needs your support and your vote so kids from all different backgrounds can obtain a world-class education. So why won't you chip in a few bucks if you can and help my mom win? I'm doing all I can to support her. Won't you join me? Come on everyone, let's ROX the vote.
Hey, these are the ways that you can support your candidates and volunteer.
Write postcards.
Drop literature at homes.
Make phone calls.
Host a meet and greet.
Send text messages.
Host a yard sign.
Use other social media services like Facebook and Instagram.
Collect ballots from the elderly to get to the drop boxes.
Write letters to the editors.
Talk to your neighbors.
Talk with your family and friends too.
Vote early.
Use a Dropbox.
Donate.
To the candidates, vote bottoms up.
Everyone, this is Faris. This is a slide where you can register to vote right now, or check your voter registration to make sure that your information is current and up to date. You can even sign up for tracking and tracing of your ballot if you haven't done so already. Just point the smartphone camera at the QR code in the center of the O and vote, and a link will pop up. Tab it, and that'll take you to a site where you can register or check your registration, or just open a web browser and go to vote.org. Snap a photo of this slide and text it to your friends to remind them to register to vote. Come on, everybody, use your paper voice. Vote.
And now, everyone, we're going to meet the guys from Retrofit. Come on in here, guys. Before we play their video, Lovers in Japan, the guys from Retrofit have a message for you. Take it away.
Hey y'all, I'm Ben.
I'm Sean.
I'm Dylan. And I'm Xavier, and we're
Retrofit.
We're so happy to be here with ROX the Vote. And voting in this election is important for so many reasons, but to us, one that really stands out is this. We have the opportunity to vote for a man who can actually begin to unify this very fragmented country, instead of a man who looks to benefit from further dividing us. But anyway, we hope you enjoyed this video for our song Lover in Japan, but remember, go vote!
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks to everyone for being here. I know it's a beautiful day outside, but this is just such a great event. I'm so excited to be here. So my name is Amy Patton. I'm running to be the next district attorney for the 18th Judicial District. It's all of Arapahoe, Douglas, Lincoln, and Elbert counties. And as Phil Weiser mentioned, this is George Brockler's current seat. That's the bad news. The good news is that I'm here to replace him, and he's term limited. So this is an incredible opportunity for us to flip the seat. As your next district attorney, my top priority is going to be community safety, because it's critical that our families are safe everywhere within the district. But I have a different way of getting to community safety than the Republicans do. The Republicans like to lock people up and throw away the key. But that hasn't made our community safer when we're talking about nonviolent offenders. We have to find alternatives to incarceration for nonviolent offenders. And when we do that, we can reduce our recidivism rates and reduce our crime rates. So one way to do that, as many of you know, is an adult diversion program. And that's what I did for a year when I worked at a different district attorney's office. I set up and ran an adult diversion program. And in that program, we take people who have committed felonies. So these are serious crimes, but they're nonviolent. We won't take any murderers or people who have, committed sexual assaults or things like that. But rather than putting through the court system and having them enter a guilty plea or go to trial and receive a sentence in the Department of Corrections, we connect them with resources like mental health counseling, substance abuse counseling. But at the same time, they have to make amends for the harm they've caused their community. They have to do community service. They will have to pay restitution if that's an issue. They may have to do a letter to an apology to the victim. And then they've got to check in with me every week. They need to stay out of trouble with the law, but if they successfully complete the program, we dismiss the felony charges. And so they're not saddled with the baggage of a felony conviction for the rest of their lives, which weakens their earning potential and harms their families. Programs like these are incredibly successful at rehabilitating people. The recidivism rate for programs like these are between 10 and 15%. Whereas the recidivism rates of sending someone to the Department of Corrections, it's close to 50% in our state. 50% of the people who go to prison come out and they either commit another crime or they violate their parole. And these programs are also much cheaper than sending someone to prison. It's almost $400,000 a year to send someone to the Department of Corrections for a year. And the Department of Corrections budget is $1 billion with a B almost. this year, whereas putting some of these programs only costs a few $1,000s. So this is just one example of the criminal justice reform that I am going to bring into the 18th Judicial District as your next district attorney. This has been a Republican seat for a long time. The Republicans are getting nasty. They're spreading false information about my background. They're making false statements about my positions. They're claiming that I'm going to support looters and let people out of prison. And it's just nonsense. So we need all hands on deck. We need everyone to help us get our message to voters, whether you can do lit drops, make phone calls, send texts, and also if you can donate. If you can donate, that would be amazing, because that's the best way to get our message out to voters during these times. So again, Amy Patton for District Attorney. I would love to have your support, and thank you so much for having me here today.
Hi, I'm Jordan, and I'm a member of the Douglas County Youth Alliance. I'm asking you to please support Amy Patton in her campaign for election to District Attorney for Judicial District 18. Indivisible ROX Resistance has created a challenge match to match your total donations up to the amount shown on this slide. So donating now could double your money for Amy. I don't have to tell you how important this is. Amy needs your support and your vote because she has the experience to keep us safe, and she'll bring badly needed reform to our criminal justice system here in Colorado. So won't you chip in a few bucks if you can and help her win? I'm doing all I can to support Amy because my generation depends on you electing good leaders. Come on, everyone. Let's ROX the vote.
I'm voting for a president who will demand justice for Breonna Taylor.
I care about climate change, women's reproductive rights, and Black Lives Matter, but I can't vote, will you?
I'm voting for a president that believes in climate change.
I'm voting because every American deserves health care.
Vote, because voting is not only a right, but a privilege. Vote like you represent every minority group in this country, because the fight for equality is an issue for everyone.
Vote, because it is your duty.
I believe in equality, women's rights, and stopping climate change. But I can't vote.
Vote because students shouldn't have to deal with the systematic defunding of their classrooms.
I'm gonna vote because I want a leader who cares about environmental policy.
Vote, because not everyone can.
Vote, because the outcomes in November will have a long-lasting impact on the future of our country.
I'm voting because we need a leader that understands that immigration is what makes this country great.
I want you to vote because minorities in this country are unrightfully targeted for the color of their skin and their faith, something as simple and fundamental to this democracy as equal rights is not guaranteed for every American.
Vote because the ever-present threat of school shootings should never have been a reality.
I'm voting for a president that believes in science.
Vote because there's now an opening on the Supreme Court. Vote for our future.
I'm voting to remove corruption from the White House.
Vote because it shouldn't take tens of thousands of dollars of student loans for me to attain a degree in higher education.
Vote because everyone deserves to hear what you have to say. Vote for our future.
I'm voting for a leader that can unify our country.
I'm voting for a president that wants to fix our criminal justice system.
Vote, because young people like me and other underrepresented minorities need their voices to be heard more than ever.
I'm voting for women's rights, in the workplace and in the womb.
I'm voting because I believe Black Lives Matter.
Vote because you're not just voting for your future, you're voting for ours.
And now, please welcome our two candidates for the two open seats on the Douglas County Board of Commissioners, Darian Wilson and Lisa Neal Graves.
Hi, Sandy. Thanks so much for having us. We are so grateful to ROX Resistance for this effort. This is a great opportunity for us, and we have decided today that rather than telling you more about our backgrounds, because we've done that a lot, we decided we'd tell you a few tales from the trails. We wanted to share some of the experiences that we've had from the campaign trails and just give you perspective on why it's so important to vote for county commissioners, and in particular to vote for Darian and I. One of the core things that we found during this whole process is, as we think about, and we've heard over and over again today, that there's a need to understand and appreciate science and facts in making decision making. What we learned, and what is so important as we've gone through this process, is this notion of disciplined decision making. That has been absent from a lot of the decisions that have been made. And we'll talk about at least two of them where we've seen this happen. One is really affecting our health and safety, and then the other is really talking about public safety specifically. So, when we talk about sort of disciplined decision making, that is doing the research and understanding what the issue is and speaking to experts and using that data to speak to our citizens and make a conscious decision about how we should move forward. Because we represent the citizens, we don't decide on behalf of the citizens. Right, Darian?
That's right. I started running this race over a year ago in June because I felt like we needed a leader who listens here in Douglas County. And Lisa and I talked about how to structure our brief 5 minutes and cover what we've learned. And I was just looking at some of my notes from the trail. I have learned a lot. And so reducing it to less than 5 minutes is tricky. But my race changed on July 9th and 10th. When my opponent voted to cede from Tri-County Health after they issued a mask mandate. We are part of a health department with 3 counties. It's Douglas, Adams, and Arapahoe counties. And I love the phrase that Lisa says, disciplined decision-making, because it goes together with the need for a leader who listens. That's part of the discipline, is waiting and hearing from the public before you make a decision. Reviewing your budget with the public. Hey, public, we have a lot of really smart, educated people, knowledgeable people in the community who can help us determine our budget priorities instead of us imposing that on the community. We want to know, do our budget priorities reflect your values, community, before we make a decision to create our own health department with no idea what it costs in the middle of a pandemic, with no study, no plan, just notify our partners of 54 years that we will be leaving within a year. I learned from looking at a 2003 study about leaving the health department. Back in 2003, the county was considering leaving the health department, and that back then they did a study. At that time, they found it would cost 3 times as much and take years to build a new health department. So here we are in the middle of a pandemic. Public health officials are not just coming out of the woodwork, they're in short supply. And who's going to want to come work for the health department that left because of a mask mandate? That leadership is not the kind of leadership that we want in our health department. And just so you know, the things that the health department determines for you is not just vaccinations and mask mandates and things like that, but it's also protecting your water supply. It's also birth certificates and death certificates. They have all kinds of impact on all of our health, restaurant inspections. So a lot of that we are required by the state. It's a statutory requirement that we do these things. So it's a scary situation we're in, and it's really important that both Lisa and I get elected so we can hopefully roll this back and bring some common sense governance back to the county and stay in Tri-County Health. Hopefully we can patch things up with our neighbors who we've offended by leaving them in the lurch during a pandemic and get back on track. So this is why we need your help letting everyone know that both of these seats are at large. And so everyone in the county can vote for both of us, even though I'm running for District 3, which is mostly Highlands Ranch, and Lisa's running for District 2. So, which is mostly the southern part of the county and includes Roxborough. So I'll stop there. I could go on and on about this health department thing because I've learned a lot about it and how important it is. And I've learned about so many things, but those are just the key things I've learned about Tri-County Health that I hope you'll tell your neighbors about. This is not a partisan issue. I have called folks who are very firm Republicans who are absolutely supporting me because they believe in science, data, and facts. So Lisa, I'll let you take it away on public safety as well.
Yeah, so the other thing that we learned about public safety in particular, as many of you are aware, when the Extreme Risk Protection Order law was passed, our county commissioners actually voted to not support the law. I was flabbergasted because this is the rule of law. This is not an option. You don't get to pick. And what that said to me, and we talked a little bit about the whole notion of disciplined decision making, but here we have a sheriff of our county who is responsible for helping ensure that we are safe, who is supporting the law and helped to get the law passed. And they were voting, in essence, against him and the passage of that law. And what that said to me, in all honesty, is that it's beyond disciplined decision making. It is, if it's not what I like, then I won't support it. And so what you've seen basically in response to that from our sheriff, our county sheriff, is an effort to say this is beyond partisan politics. We need to protect our public, right? We need to ensure that Douglas County is protected, and he has supported me in this in this race, and that's huge for a county like Douglas County. And so what that also said is that he believes that this effort that we have and this notion that we know and understand that we need to do something that is bigger than ourselves, that is beyond making a decision that makes sense for us personally, but making decisions that make sense for our residents as a whole, everybody, not just those who vote for us, not just those that we like. And so I've met with each of the chiefs of police in our county. I've met with our sheriff. I've met with the organizations within his office that are responsible not just for public safety, but also for the safety of our officers. And in particular, one of those officers is responsible for the officer wellness program. I don't know that there's many programs like that across the state. Those are that effort to ensure that the officers have the ability to get the help that they need to ensure that they are well and that they are healthy while they're trying to protect and serve us. That really says, it speaks volumes to what's important in our county. So it's not just about the individuals that we have on the street. It really is about those individuals that see really horrible things, that we need to make sure that they are whole so that when they are supporting and helping residents, that they are happy and that they are actually looking forward to making that support. So I am begging you, in all honesty. I've met with people in the rural areas that find that this is an important piece. I've met with people that are in some of our suburban areas, and I've also met with people that are in our urban areas, as small as they are. And everybody is saying the same thing, that mental health care is an important aspect of public safety, and that is whether it is with our residents or it's with our officers, and we all need to be open to that. And so I, along with Darian, are delighted to have had this opportunity to meet with you today. It is critically important that you support us and that you give us your time, your treasure, and your talent. And in particular today, that treasure is critically important because, as you know, we can't canvass in the same way that we have in the past. So we can't knock doors. And so the only way that we can really canvass effectively is to knock on your door digitally. So we have an expensive digital strategy and we have an expensive lit drop strategy. So it is critically important that you help us with this. We can, in fact, win these races. It is an important element of helping our county become the better county and the better future that we want it to be, but we can't do it alone. So we are excited to be in this race and looking forward to your continued support. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, and thanks so much to Indivisible ROX Resistance for all the support you've given us from the beginning. We could not have run this race without you and the support of this community behind us. Thank you so much. We have raised a lot of money between the two of us, and it's been hard work, but you guys have put in a tremendous amount of that hard work, and we're so grateful for you. So thank you. Thanks everyone for being on this call. We love you.
Thanks.
Hello, I'm Isabella, and I want you to vote for Cousin Lisa. Please?
Indivisible ROX Resistance has created a challenge match to meet your total donations up to the amount shown on this slide, so you can double your money if you give now.
Come on, everybody, let's rock the vote.
Hi, I'm Clark, Darian's son. I'm asking you to please support my mom, Darian Wilson, in her campaign for Douglas County Commissioner. Indivisible ROX Resistance has created a challenge match to match your total donations up to the amount shown on this slide, so you can double your donation if you give now. My mom needs your support and your vote because we need leaders whose decisions are driven by science, data, and facts. So chip in a few bucks if you can and help Darian win. I'm doing all I can to support her. Please join me. Let's ROX the vote.
Me out to the polling site or safely vote from my home. Colorado has options, it's your right to choose. Be patriotic, stay safe from the flu. Let's vote out the lies and corruption. If we don't, it's a shame. Let's all vote, vote. Vote everyone, keep this sacred light aflame.
Hi everyone, this is Kevin again, and I'm inviting you to join me for a very special after party. Tonight, at 7 p.m., we're going to celebrate our Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold's birthday with her at a private after party. It means so much to Jenna to see you there. Just point your smartphone camera at either of the QR codes on this slide, and when a link pops up, tap it and RSVP for the event. We'll send you a link to join about a half hour before it starts. Jenna has served Coloradans so well since we elected her. This is your chance to tell her thank you in person, to ask her any questions you might have about the election, and to visit with her about her office's role in protecting the safety and security of your vote.
Folks, we have some breaking news. Lisa Neal Graves has announced an additional challenge match of her own. Because she knows this is such a critical election, Lisa has personally created her own challenge match. She will match up to $5,000 in total donations beginning now. This race is so important that Lisa is putting up funds so that your total donations up to $5,000 will be doubled if you donate today. So if you give $25, Lisa will kick in $25 of her own money and your donation becomes twice as powerful. If you give $50, she will make it $100. She knows she can win this election with your help, so she is offering her personal funds to match yours so she can win and serve you as your county commissioner. So use this QR code and your smartphone now to take advantage of this opportunity. Or snap a picture of this screen and use it to type the web address into your device and donate. Come on, everyone. Let's all chip in to help Lisa win.
report in.
Blue 2, standing by.
Blue 3, standing by.
Blue 4, standing by.
Blue 5, standing by.
This is ROX Leader. All wings report in.
ROX 2, standing by.
ROX 3, standing by.
ROX 4, standing by.
ROX 5, standing by and targeting control.
This is Skywatch. I'll be your eyes.
Blue Leader, this is ROX Leader. We're information. Starting for the post office and mailboxes now. I'll take the lead.
Heavy traffic, folks. Be careful.
ROX team, this is targeting control. Those ballots must be dropped off into the mailboxes early enough to be counted. So check those pickup times and make sure they'll go out today.
This is ROX 3. I'm headed to the main post office. I'll take my ballot inside and drop it directly into the chute. Cover me.
This is ROX Leader. I have you covered. Take it home, ROX 3.
Got it. That's one way.
This is ROX 4. I put the first class stamp on mine just to be sure. It's through the mail slot and on its way.
This box won't be collected until tomorrow. ROX 2 is redirecting to the main post office.
Blue team, attack formation. Let's hit those ballot boxes.
Blue Leader. Oncoming traffic headed right at you. You might not be able to make the turn on time.
I see it. They have me boxed in. I can't shake them. I'm pulling up. Take the lead, Blue 2.
I'm on it. Almost there. Almost there. Woo! I got a direct drop in the ballot box.
Good shot, kid. Don't get cocky. Squad leader, I'm picking up a new group of signals. Opposition, voter apathy, and deliberate disruption coming your way.
They got to me. I lost my starboard engine. I can't get there. This is ROX 4. Hang on, Blue 3. I'll pick you up and give you and your ballot a ride.
That's it. There's no ballot box here. We must have gotten the wrong coordinates.
I found it, Blue 4. Send in the coordinates now. I'm going in. It's a hit!
Negative, Blue 5. It didn't go in. It just impacted on the surface.
Blue 5, I'm approaching the target. I'll pick yours up and drop it in with mine.
On your wing. Bingo! Blue 4 got them both! Right in the chute!
Blue Leader, this is ROX Leader. All our ballots are away. The rest is up to you and your team.
10-4, ROX Leader. Blue 3, move in. I'll cover you. Once you've dropped your ballot and are safely away, I'll make the final attack run.
This is Blue 3. ROX 4 and I are in range. We're marked and locked in. Dropping the ballot now.
This rush hour traffic is a threat.
Just hold them off a few seconds. I'm almost there. Switching on GPS targeting computer.
Coming in hot, Blue Leader. At that speed, will you be able to pull up in time?
It'll be just like the twisting trails back home.
Use the force. Your vote is your voice.
Blue Leader, you switched off your targeting computer. What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm all right.
Okay then. You're all clear, kid.
It's a direct hit!
Woohoo! Great shot, kid. Way to ROX the vote.
Hi, this is Darian Wilson. I have some breaking news. Because this election is so important, I personally am offering my own challenge match. We were going to start it tomorrow, but because you're at this event, you can take advantage of early access to our challenge that will start for everyone else tomorrow. So for the next 5 days, I personally will match up to $5,000 in total donations. Anything you donate today will be doubled. You donate $25, it becomes $50. Donate $100, it becomes $200, up to $5,000. And I personally am making this match because I believe in this election and my ability to win this race. Please use this QR code and your smartphone now to take advantage of this opportunity, or snap a picture of the screen and use it to type the web address into your device and donate. I'm going to be a county commissioner, Douglas County, and you can count on. And I need your help to win this race. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I am Aubrey. I am a high school senior in the Denver area, and I'm going to talk to you about how you can be a well-informed voter this fall with the ABCs of informed voting. A is for analyze the candidates. Yes, all of them. We all know that this year is a presidential election year and possibly one of the most consequential elections of our time. It is important to do your research on each candidate before voting. While the presidency is the highest office on the ticket, we must not forget the importance of down-ballot elections. Try to research any congressional candidates, both national and for the state legislature, as well as county positions and state or municipal attorney general, to make sure you are confident with each decision and don't leave any bubbles blank because each is important. The best place to learn about a candidate is right at the source. Every candidate will have a web page that outlines their priorities. B is for being aware of disinformation tactics. A big part of being an informed voter is knowing where to find the most credible information on candidates and policy issues. The Senate Intelligence Committee just released this past August 20th that Russian foreign operatives are already attempting to spread disinformation via social media advertising. To keep yourself free from such influence, try to avoid using social media or telecommunications for your candidate information, and instead use trusted paper or digital news sites such as Politico, the Associated Press, and even local papers like the Denver Post tend to be less polarizing than widespread advertisements. C is for coordinate your voting plan. As we all know, Colorado is a universal vote-by-mail election state. However, there are some things that are good to know to make sure your vote is counted in this election cycle. If you do not receive a ballot in the mail, it is possible that you are not registered as a voter in Colorado. You must be registered by October 26th to receive a ballot. To check your voter profile and find other information critical to voting in Colorado, a great resource is www.govotecolorado.gov, which can tell you if your ballot has been sent and connect you to the closest polling locations. If you are late to your polling location on November 3rd, do not worry. Colorado allows for every vote to be counted in line even after the 7 p.m. deadline. Follow your informed voter ABCs and you will make sure that your vote is always counted and always educated. Use your paper voice and vote on November 3rd.
Hi, I'm Steve Berger, and I have to make a confession. As a principled young man in the 70s, I helped somebody I didn't like become president. I did this by, as Lin-Manuel Miranda would later write, throwing away my shot. I felt that voting for either candidate would be choosing the lesser of two evils. So I voted for John Anderson, a third-party voice that is all but lost in history. So instead of lesser of two evils taking the oath of office, greater of two evils did. Along with others, I figured I would deny a vote to a man who would later remove broadcast fairness doctrine, support the apartheid government in South Africa, and claim that trees cause more pollution than automobiles. But I was also denying a vote to a candidate whose generosity and compassion, among other traits, would have made this a better world. So lesser got one less vote, and greater got one less vote. Big deal. My principles left both candidates even. My principles canceled out my own vote. Had I voted for lesser, you would have gained a vote. Greater would have been denied a vote. Lesser's margin would have increased by 2 votes. Now I'm a principled, pragmatic old man. I am a firm supporter of Joe Biden, and experience compels me to urge anyone thinking of not voting or voting for a candidate with no chance of winning to reconsider. Please think about it. If you are voting for the lesser of two evils, you are actually voting for the better of two choices. Don't throw away your shot. Make sure you and your friends are registered to vote and vote early.
It's time for the Colorado Legislature Roundtable. Please welcome our candidates for the Colorado House and Senate, and let me introduce them one at a time by asking each one a question. David, let's start with you. This is David Ortiz. David, I saw your campaign's television ads on CNN on the night of the debate. These are so beneficial, I think, because the more folks know about you and your platform, the more they are going to support you. You're running for the Colorado House representing District 38, and that's primarily Littleton and the western edge of Centennial, our friends and neighbors. And your campaign mantra is, and I love this, you know that, I am, we are. Tell us about that and how you seek to apply it in service to the citizens of HD 38.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you so much for hosting this. I love those little vignettes and shorts. It made me miss being a pilot. It made me miss watching the original Star Wars. Just got to throw that out there before I get started. So yeah, so like you said, HD 38 is Littleton, the western parts of Centennial. And one of the things that I loved about this community as soon as I moved here, because I did go to Craig Hospital for rehab, but as soon as I moved here, it was their desire to seriously serve their community and the citizens that lived here. So because I survived a crash when I was deployed to Afghanistan that left me paralyzed from the waist down, I needed to make adaptations to my home that would allow me to live independently. And they were so reactive in making sure that I got the permits that I needed and making sure that I got special dispensation for some of the special adaptations that I needed. So right off the bat, I knew this was my home. And it really spoke to that mantra of I am, we are. And the reason why it speaks to me so much is because it recognizes how the individual can empower and shape the community, while also recognizing how a community can shape and empower the individual. So, you know, it's been an amazing way to live my lifetime of public service, whether we're talking about resettling evacuees or serving as a combat aviator, and then being an advocate and lobbyist for veterans at the state capitol, and now fighting for the right and the privilege to represent the people here in HD 38. In 2018, the seat stayed red by 374 votes. We remember, and that's why we've adopted that mantra. We had the highest turnout in our primary of any House district in the entire county, almost doubling turnout. Normally we see 9,000 or 10,000 voters. We saw 18,000 voters. So we're almost there. And really it's about empowering this community to make sure their voices are finally represented by a representative that they believe in and trust. So.
That's awesome, David. And we're going to come back to you in just a minute, but let's bring in another combat veteran, Ian Chapman. Ian, you're running for Colorado House District 39, and that's a vast district encompassing parts of Douglas and Teller counties, both rural, mountain, small town, and suburban communities. I would imagine there are a lot of varying needs and interests representing so many diverse areas. What do you think the people of your district most need, and how will you represent them all?
First of all, thank you so much, Sandy. This is an amazing event. I am so thankful to be here. And you're right. House District 39 is a vast district with varying degrees of needs throughout it all. From Victor and Cripple Creek all the way up to Roxborough Park, parts of Parker, Franktown. It is a vast district, and all of Teller County and a large part of Douglas encompass what House District 39 is. And what I believe that we need overall, more than anything else, is equal, adequate, and appropriate representation at the House level. We have somebody in our current representative position that is not representing everybody. He intentionally tries to represent only one half. My point, my purpose, and my thought is that I will always strive and fight to represent everybody as best as I can. I've fought before, and I'll do it, and I'll keep doing it every single time.
That's awesome. We're going to come back to you also, but let's bring Jennifer Mitkowski in. You're running for HD 43 Highlands Ranch, and it's looking very likely that you're going to flip that seat. Your campaign values are healthcare, education, and representation. Now, who doesn't want that? Tell me how you will bring those values to the citizens of Highlands Ranch when you win, and I know you will.
Thanks, Sandy. Yeah, thank you all. Thanks to Indivisible ROX for putting on another fantastic event. You guys are just, you've become experts at this, and you're so good. So, like Sandy was saying, I'm really focused on healthcare. I'm a physician assistant by trade, and I've spent over a decade working in family practice. And what I have really come to find is the struggle that people have with accessing healthcare. And in one of more particular realms is mental health care. I have a lot of patients that come to me with their mental health struggles and just have nowhere to go and no ability to access the help that they so desperately need and want. And that's something I'm really, really passionate about being a voice for at the state capitol and really changing. I have 2 young daughters, so public schools are huge to me. They are both in public schools here in Douglas County, and we have to change how we're funding our public schools. Our teachers are severely underpaid. Our public schools rank among the bottom of all the states for funding in general. And representation, I think it's extremely important that your local representatives talk to everyone. This is being a voice for your entire community. We don't always all agree 100% of the time, and that's okay. But we make the best laws and the best legislation when we are open to hearing all voices and hearing what everyone has to say. So thank you again for having me and putting this on.
Well, we're happy to do it, but stand by, don't go away, because we want to come back to you too. All you candidates stand by. I'm going to get to all of you another time or two. Kira Storajev, you're looking to represent the people in Colorado House District 44, and that's Lone Tree and Parker and a few unincorporated areas and even a little corner of Aurora, I think.
Actually, a little part of Littleton called Acres Green.
Ah, yeah, so it's even bigger than I thought. Your tagline is common sense for the common good. I want you to tell us about how that will guide you and inform you as you represent the folks in those communities.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Sandy and ROX Resistance, for this amazing show. I just love it. And the art here too is amazing, the music and everything. Yes, common sense for the common good. I actually came up with that slogan after talking to people when I first started canvassing before COVID. And people would say to me, you know, I'm so tired of the division between the two parties. I really want just common sense laws. I want people to just get to that place that we can all agree on. So that's actually where that came from. And that is my focus. It's sort of like being a mom, and you want to make sure your kids are safe and healthy and happy and everything. I'm actually taking that approach in running for office. So that is what I'm doing. I'm looking out for the best interests for the people, for the community. And we are a diverse community now. This area has changed drastically just in the last few years. So I really want to represent the diversity and speak up for the people, you know, who are here and who think that it's just a conservative area, when in fact it's right now 2/3 of the voting people are unaffiliated and Democrat. So 1/3 now is Republican. So it is phenomenally changed, and our opportunities are incredible. But I really feel like we need to make a flip now. The woman who's running for office against me, a 2-term incumbent, is ultra conservative. I could tell you her voting record, but it's dismal, honestly.
Well, Kira, thanks for coming. We want you to know before I introduce our other 2 candidates, and all of you stand by, we've got another round, that we have challenge matches for all these candidates, and their campaigns need your support. It's extra expensive to try to campaign during COVID. So we've decided to double your donation. So get your wallets ready or your smartphones, and let's bring in Katie Barrett. Katie, HD 45 encompasses all of Castle Rock, Castle Pines Village, the Pinery, and Pradera. And Castle Rock is the seat of our county government, and it's an area of exploding growth. I mean, Kira talked about how her district is changing Yours is too. And you're a proponent of education, family care, good health care, the environment. Seems like the county seat would be the best place to set an example in these areas. How do you aim to bring your values to the service you're going to give the citizens in this district?
Well, the values that I want to bring, number one is inclusivity. We've heard a lot tonight about trying to heal the divide that has really damaged our relationships in our country. So inclusivity, as well as bipartisan reach out, we need to be the ones, the bigger people, the grown up in the room, to reach across the aisle and talk to the Republicans. And I love hearing that a really great bill is one where everybody is mad. And I hope that that I introduce some bills that make everybody mad, but yet people look back on them and say, wow, I'm so glad she listened to all sides. It made for a terrific bill.
Now, Katie, if anyone can do that, I know you can. Let's bring in Alyssa Flomenhoff. You're seeking to serve the people in Colorado's Senate District 4, a big district that includes the southeastern corner of Douglas County. Your platform embraces healthy families and citizens, community safety, resilient institutions. Tell us what you hope to do for the folks in this district if elected.
Well, thank you, Sandy. So as you said, my website, ej4sd4.com, does focus on healthy families and citizens and resilient institutions. I've worked nearly my entire career as a scientist in the medical field. I started in the organ, eye, and tissue donation field, was there for nearly a decade, and now I'm in the blood and cell technology fields. I myself am a type 1 diabetic. I rely on an insulin pump to keep me alive. And my brother is a 2-time heart attack survivor. And my son spent the first week of his life in the NICU and the first 3 months of his life on supplemental oxygen. So you could say that healthcare is something that is very near and dear to my heart, but is also of paramount importance to me. Healthcare is a universal right, and comprehensive healthcare, including mental health, must be made affordable or free to all Coloradans. So I will fight to make sure that all Coloradans get and keep their health insurance and have adequate access to comprehensive medical care. With respect to resilient institutions, it is absolutely imperative for our economic health that we continue to be seen as an attractive place to live and work, especially as we're recovering from the effects of COVID-19, but also in normal times. We need to establish ourselves as being that great place to live and work, and we accomplish that by offering an unparalleled quality of life. That's through things like affordable housing, safe communities, sound infrastructure, having a plan for addressing and handling our growth, great schools, and competitive wages. We are going to need a large pool of qualified applicants to be able to fill all of these diverse and varied jobs. And to that end, we need affordable higher education. Now that might look like internships and apprenticeships, technical schooling, junior and community colleges, and of course our four-year universities. And in addition to affordable higher education, Coloradans need to know that there are policies and procedures in place to protect that quality of life that they've built, especially when unexpected events cause us to have to change course, refocus, and reprioritize. So as a scientist, I'll continue to use data and facts, logic and reason to find creative solutions to ensure that Coloradans continue to be happy and healthy and enjoy a quality of life that can't be beaten.
Wow, don't you all want this powerhouse in the Colorado Senate? Remember everyone, we have double your donation challenge matches. So coming up are QR codes where you can give to them, and ROX Resistance will match it. David, let's bring you back in. In just 1 minute, will you tell our audience how your experience as a veteran comes to bear in your community service now, and will even more when you're elected?
Yeah, absolutely. I do leverage and lean on this a lot. I am third-generation service member. My grandfather was infantry in World War II. My dad was Air Force Academy graduate of '79, and I was a combat aviator. And when you serve in the military, you serve with many people from across the country, and then also in some cases from around the world that put their, that come from all religions, all orientations, all ethnicities. all political stripes and put their differences aside to put the men and women on the ground first, the mission first. They know what it's like to put country before party, and they know what it's like to treat everyone like we belong to the same American family. Those are the values that I not only bring to this campaign, but to my lifetime of public service. That's what kind of representative I'll be. I was that kind of lobbyist. When I was a lobbyist for veterans at the state capitol, every single one of my bills had bipartisan sponsorship. And my opponent can't say that, and there's very few out there that can say that. So that's what my experience as a veteran, how it's gonna serve me and this community here in HD 38.
Well said. Real quick, Ian, you too, 1 minute. Bring a veteran's experience to your ethics of service and leadership. Take about that much time to tell us how your military service and your service as a frontline medical worker now have groomed you for leadership in government.
Well, absolutely. From the military that I joined on my 18th birthday, I rose my right hand and I swore into the Army on my 18th birthday. And from there to Afghanistan to, I don't know how many times I was shot at, engaged in combat, those wonderful, amazing things, led people under combat, to being medically retired, going to school, becoming a nurse, and now working through this pandemic in the ICU, caring for patients that have COVID. Seeing all of this and leading through all of this is something that I am very adept at doing. I will be able to take all of my experience from combat to the hospital, and I will be able to take that to Denver and be able to lead in the Colorado House of Representatives very effectively, very well, and I will make sure that I do not leave anybody behind when I do it.
That's awesome. Thank you. Jennifer, you're a physician assistant, a mom, a community leader, a delegate with the Highlands Ranch Community Association, and an activist working on the school board elections. Tell us in 1 minute how your education and your experience informed your idea of service to the citizens of Highlands Ranch.
One of the things I like to say a lot is that I have spent my healthcare career working in family practice. And one of the things we learn in family practice is that we know a little about a lot, but we also know when we need to reach out to the experts and the people that know more about a certain subject. And that's crucial as a legislator to know what our expertise areas are, and when there are bills that we're discussing that are not our areas of expertise, and making sure that we reach out so we understand how they're working and they affect people.
Thanks, Jennifer. Kira, 1 minute. You have an impressive resume. You're an activist, an organizer, a businesswoman, an innovative program creator, and a volunteer for many nonprofits. Would you take about a minute to tell our guests here this evening about just a few of your many achievements?
Yes, thank you so much. I like to say I like to make things happen. It's sort of a sum of everything. Yeah, so I majored in political science and international relations. I worked in Washington, D.C. for educational nonprofit organizations, writing a book that helped to create change throughout the United States. And also, I actually had my own business where I designed networks for corporations, large Fortune 500s actually, and school districts. I also was on KCBS TV as a news expert on technology. One of my clients was Roy Disney, a little trivia fact. I also manage a magazine called Mom Magazine, where I worked with community members and made sure that moms were honored and put on the cover. So, and I've been a board member of the Habitat for Humanity Interfaith Alliance for the last 2 years. I have been an event coordinator for my daughter's school, putting on big events. So I'm all about community. I'm all about making the world a better place. And doing it, making things happen as a team, working together and working effectively, smart and organized. And so that's what I'm going to bring to the state legislature, all those skills that I have basically encompassed already so far.
Thank you. We're running kind of long, but let's go ahead and finish up this round. Katie, you were a math and science teacher for many years. You also, worked with the district attorney, I think, in some role, reviewing cold case files or something. So you bring education, working with youth, working with government, an impressive list of assets that can be useful for solving problems, the people of House District 45. Tell us how your experience and values shape your design for serving the people in the Colorado House.
Well, first of all, being a middle school teacher for 27 years, I feel like not much rattles me. And I also bring to this service. I'm so sorry, let me start again. I am adept at looking at big problems and taking them apart and looking for solutions. That's what I did as a cold case researcher at the 18th Judicial Office. And as a teacher, to break down tasks into bite-sized pieces for students just comes natural to me. I think I'm going to be a great fit as a leader and bring a lot to the table.
Thank you, Katie. Alyssa, you get to back clean up. You're a wife, you're a mom, you're a scientist, you're a mentor for students, an active volunteer with so many organizations. You grew up in the Midwest with Midwestern ethics and values. Take just 1 minute to tell folks how you will take your experience and those values and use them in the Colorado Senate.
So as a Midwesterner, compassion, love, and respect for those around me are as ingrained in me as my love of meat, potatoes, and corn. I was also raised with an unparalleled work ethic, a roll up your sleeves and do it yourself kind of attitude, the duty to fight for what is just and what is right and to stand up for others. I am a woman in a male-dominated career field. I am a working mother. I'm also a Jew. So I understand what it feels like to be overlooked, ignored, mis or underrepresented, and marginalized. So I will use those experiences as well as compassion and empathy to be the voice for those who've had similar experiences to me, but also to be a voice for everyone, because I believe that everyone has something to offer. Everyone deserves representation. Everyone has a voice that needs to be heard, and democracy is for everyone.
Thank you, Alyssa, and thank you all you Colorado Legislature panelists. We're running so long that we're going to have to close the panel now, but folks, stay tuned. We have challenge matches for every one of them. We'll double your donations. And here come the QR code slides.
Hi, I'm Lucy, David's intern, and I'm asking you to please support my friend in his campaign for House District 38. Indivisible ROX Resistance has created a challenge match to match your total donations up to the amount shown on this slide, so you can double your money if you give now. You know how to use your phone to do this, right? You got this. David needs your support and your vote because he will help to expand access to healthcare. So won't you chip in a few bucks if you can and help my candidate win? I'm doing all I can to support him. Won't you join me? Come on, everyone. Let's ROX the vote.
Hi, it's Jordan with the Douglas County Youth Alliance back again to ask you to support Ian Chapman in his campaign for election to House District 39. Indivisible ROX Resistance has created a challenge match to match your total donations up to the amount shown on this slide. So donating now could effectively double the money that goes to Ian. Ian needs our support and your vote, because he's running to represent every person in our district, not just a few. So chip in a few bucks if you can and help him win. I'm doing all I can to support Ian because our future depends on the choices we make now. Join us in electing leaders that will fight for our future. Let's ROX the vote.
Hi, I'm Emma, Jennifer's daughter. I'm asking you to please support my mom in her campaign for state representative. Indivisible ROX has created a challenge match to double your total donations if you give right now. You know how to use your phone to do this, right? You got this. My mom needs your support because she's the best person for the job. So won't you chip in a few bucks if you can and help my mom win? Come on, everyone, let's ROX the vote.
I'm Amara, Kira Storjev's daughter. I'm asking you to please support my mom in her campaign to win the Colorado State House of Representatives for the Parker and Lone Tree area. Indivisible ROX Resistance has created a challenge match to match your total donations up to the amount shown on this slide, and your money will be doubled when you give now. You know how to use your phone to do this, right? You got this. My mom needs your support and your vote so she can represent this area and stand up to protect our land, air, and water, bring in affordable health care, and strengthen our schools. So won't you chip in a few bucks if you can and help my mom win? I'm doing all I can to support her. Please join me today and donate and double your impact. Let's ROX the vote.
Hi, I'm Rose, Darian's daughter, and I'm asking you to please support Katie Barrett in her campaign for House District 45. Indivisible ROX Resistance has created a challenge match to match your total donations up to the amount shown on this slide, so you can double your money if you give now. You know how to use your phone to do this, right? You got this! Katie needs your support and your vote because she'll keep our community safe for kids like me. So won't you chip in a few bucks if you can and help Katie win? I'm doing all I can to support her. Why won't you join me? Come on, everyone. Let's ROX the vote.
Hi, I'm Sandy, a member of Indivisible ROX Resistance. I'm asking you to please support Alyssa Flomenhoff in her campaign for election to the Colorado Senate in District 4. Indivisible ROX Resistance has created a challenge match to match your total donations up to the amount shown on this slide, so you can double your money if you give now. You remember how to use your phone to do this, right? I'm sure you've got it down by now. So chip in a few bucks if you can and help Alyssa win. I'm doing all I can to support her because she wants to give back to her community and be the voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. Won't you join me? Come on, everyone. Let's ROX the vote.
Hey, yeah, I'm Carrie Pastine. Hey, everybody. This is my husband, Paul Shalhoub. We are musicians from Colorado, based out of Denver. Carrie Pastine and the Crime Scene is the name of our band, and we're honored to be a part of today's event. Just want to say a couple of things before we introduce you to our video. I really want to say that even though COVID-19 has created a lot of tragedy this year, we're all continuing to pursue those things that we're passionate about. And one of them is voting, which is why voting from home and mail-in ballots is crucial to our democracy. As musicians, we lost our livelihood this year, but we continue to pursue our passions from home in different ways. And so one of the things that we created is this cheeky little video that we've been calling them our Quarantino sessions in our style. But this is called Zooby Zoo. We've done it in French, and it's from 4 of our homes. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Un, deux, trois, quatre.
Yes, thanks to the men and women who design.
Hey, did you know that in the first election, only white men who owned property could vote, excluding 94% of the population?
Did you know that George Washington spent his entire campaign budget of 50 pounds to buy 160 gallons of liquor to serve to potential voters? Did you know that approximately 64% of the United States voting age population is registered to vote, compared to 91% in Canada and United Kingdom, 96% in Sweden, and nearly 99% in Japan?
Hey, did you know that the citizens of Brazil actually voted in a rhinoceros to public service? And not only that, they also voted in an actual clown. And the people of Ecuador voted in a foot powder to be mayor. Isn't that silly?
Did you know that having a precise plan of when, where, and who you're going to vote for greatly increases the chance that you'll actually do it? We hope you found these voting and election facts fun and interesting.
But voting is a very serious responsibility.
Please, use your paper voice.
Vote.
I'm Jennifer Bacon. I'm a candidate for Colorado House District 7, and I'm here to ask you all to vote this upcoming November. As you can see, the ability to have a say in how our country works on the decisions over our bodies, over our futures and our finances really comes down to the people in office. It matters who's in those roles. And so I'm encouraging you to vote to exercise that power that so many people fought and died for and are still fighting and dying for today as we say things like, I can't breathe. So vote this November.
Hi everyone, it's me again, and I'm inviting you to join me for a very special after party. Tonight at 7 p.m., we're going to celebrate our Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold's birthday with her at a private after party. Please join us in showing Jenna our support. Just point your smartphone camera at either of the QR codes on this slide, and when a link pops up, tap it and RSVP for the event. We'll send you a link to join about a half hour before it starts. Jenna has served Coloradans so well since we elected her. This is your chance to tell her thank you in person, to ask her any questions you might have about the election, and to visit with her about her office's role in protecting the safety and security of your vote. See you at 7 tonight. Thanks, Kevin.
This song's called Time to Go. Wake up and everything's changing. The road we're walking ain't never been take. We've had a hell of a run out here. The highest up highs here, the lowest are low. It's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to go. Wake up and everything's changing. We can't keep going. You know we can't stay. Run home with open arms to hold. Love will guide you north for now. But it's time to go. It's time to go home. It's time to go. It's time to go. Do I call it a day? There's nothing to say. Thank you.
This is Kate. This is a slide where you can register to vote right now, or check your voter registration to make sure that your information is current and up to date. You can even sign up for tracking and tracing of your ballot if you haven't done so already. Just point your smartphone at the QR code in the center of the O in vote, and a link will pop up. Tap it, and it'll take you right to the site where you can register or check your registration. Or just open up your web browser and go to vote.org. Snap a photo of this slide and text it to your friends and remind them to register to vote. Come on, everybody, use your paper voice. Vote.
Thank you, everyone, for coming to ROX to Vote, and thanks to all our wonderful candidates, our exquisite musicians, and our special guests. Remember, make sure your voter registration is complete, vote early, and return your ballot promptly. And don't forget our after party with Jenna Griswold. Not too late to join us. We'll see some of you at 7 p.m. and all of you at the next one. Thanks for supporting ROX to Vote and helping us save our democracy. Now watch these titles coming up and see how many people worked so hard to make this event happen.